Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Relatively Positive Things. Today, my guest is legendary skateboarder, artist, and now human working with other humans, Chris Haslam.
Hi everybody.
All right, Chris, you've got a fun and interesting story. So let's start at the beginning. Where are you from and how did you get into skateboarding?
I am from Canada, born in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and I moved to Singapore in '91 and I got into skating in Singapore.
How old were you when you moved to Singapore?
I think I was turning 11.
Okay, and what was the reason, like what was it that got you fired up to start skating, especially somewhere like Singapore?
I mean, there was a French guy that was down there at the time that was skating around. I was doing a lot of team sports, so me and my brother would just see this guy around, and he was skating in the neighborhood all the time, and it was just, I don't know, we figured that would be a cool thing.
So it was just like, saw someone skating, and we're like, I want to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't any like crazy thing. It was just, we saw some guy doing it, and we're like, that looks cool. We have a lot of time on our hands because we're 12. So
you didn't hold down jobs at that point?
No.
What about first board? And where'd you get it? It was Go Sports,
It
right?
was Go Sports, Eddie Go. I got it with Eddie Go at Go Sports at Margaret Drive in Singapore. And then we used to skate out front of the shop all the time, me and my brother and a bunch of other dudes. And it was a William Nguyen Santa Cruz click with the rooftop click. Silver, it looked like a Silver Surfer face, but it was a silhouette of some guy doing a gun thing.
Do you have one of those boards?
I don't know. I didn't have one. I went to NHS once and asked them if they had it, but I got to hold the, I think they had an Everslick version of, like they had to hold the bottom. And they had a board in there and it was horrendously shaped. And I forgot how badly shaped it was. At the time I thought it was cool, but now it's not the right shape.
And you grew up skating with your brother then?
Yeah, my brother.
Did you show natural talent to it immediately or no?
I think so. I think compared to most people that were in Singapore, there was a little bit of a accelerated skill set in there somewhere.
And what kind of media were you consuming at that point? Like what was getting its way over to Singapore?
Well, no internet, so we were like 5 years behind still. So we were doing like videos, like basically every video that we had was that coming out here was way ahead. We wouldn't get it till like 5 years. So we had all the 5 year ago ones, tracker videos and like Plan B videos, while you guys were getting like mouse and stuff. So
that's insane. It literally, like, you got the super old stuff, and do you think that influenced your personal skating then? Were you trying to like do tricks that were obviously super back then? Were you like, oh, skating curbs versus skating ledges and stuff like that, or no?
No, because I didn't skate curbs, and I don't skate curbs very often, so I never got into that. And there wasn't really like curb skating in Singapore, right? So
yeah, where did you skate in Singapore?
Street stuff, like stairs and at the university and the colleges and stuff.
It wasn't an issue?
It was an issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, at the time, there was the Michael Fay incident, the American guy that got caught spray painting the cars all down there. So it's a huge problem with basically white kids vandalizing stuff. I mean, so they were high alert on that stuff. So in skating, they would leave the marks on the thing, and they would getting frisked when you're like 14, little scared white kid in Singapore, like, oh my God. But yeah, we would skate the streets and the stairs, and mostly I would just jump stuff. I'd be a stair guy, like jumping down stairs and trying to emulate some sort of rail behavior when all the rails were like that.
Ultra steep.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a skate park there or no?
Not when I was growing up, but then there was one Bishan skate park, had a mini ramp with a spine, but everything was built kind of crazy. Like they had a 6 foot ramp, but it was like a foot of vert, so it was like a vert ramp. So I never skated any of that stuff. I just was like trying to do grinds on the rails and stuff.
So the mini ramp was vert, the handrails were as steep as you can get, and skating there was super illegal. So it was a great place for you to grow up skating.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the handrails at the time were so low just from the, the nature of where it was in Singapore, and like, the older generation of Singaporeans were all kind of shorter. So the handrails were super low, like long mellow ones were super low. So at the time I was like, thought it potentially we could be doing like the long grinds, like the Duffy grinds and stuff. But so I went back years later to try and do it, but thanks to McDonald's and all the growth hormones, all the rails are now this high because they were too small for people. So then I couldn't do any of them.
You were in Singapore then from when you said you were 11?
Yeah.
Until what age?
Like 95, like probably 14, 15 and 16. I went to London, Ontario again. We moved back to go to finish, did high school in London, Ontario. And then we went back for most of 96 to Singapore. Then 97, end of 97, I graduated there and moved to Vancouver.
Did you have a stint where you were in Canada without your parents?
Yeah, that was the 95 era.
Okay, how old were you? And was it just you, or was it?
It was me and my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like 15, 16, I think. 15 and 16. We did.
How much older is he?
He's 2 years.
That's wild. So they sent you back to Vancouver to do school while they were still in Singapore?
Yeah. I think they've always told me it was some like, I don't even know if national service stuff or something. I don't know what it was. It was like, because we were PRs and stuff, right? We had to, I don't know what it was, but.
Just to be clear, Chris's parents are wonderful and super responsible. They are not irresponsible parents like sending their kids to another country. So we'll just nip that one in the bud right there. Okay, so you go back to Canada. When was it that you started getting sponsored and getting more involved in the skate industry? Was it DECA that started things off?
In Vancouver, I had a reality check of how good I was in Singapore compared to how good North America good was. And so I was like, oh my God. And then I just skated the park near my house I had there. I was going to college at the time, doing nothing, art stuff. And then I would just skate, and I kind of got known for being the guy at this one park that was doing weird stuff, And then the distributors around there, I started getting distributor flow stuff, like, Ultimate and Center and stuff like that. And I was doing that for a bit, and then I just started sending the sponsor me videos out, and every single person I sent one to said no. Everybody. You name everyone, and they've said no to me. So then I basically gave up, and then I was writing for a bunch of things from a distribution, and the distribution near my house, another one, Ultimate, was like, if you leave all of those and come, and I'll try and get you on anything that we have at our distribution. They did like Dwindle and Tumieto and all that stuff. So and at the time I was like, oh, all right, well, basically over already, because this was going into the RDS kind of World Industries direction, and I didn't feel like I was in that kind of mentality realm of how they were, just the vibe of the whole team and stuff. So I left, and I was like, sweet. Basically stopped my career already, and I didn't even start it. And at the time, Enjoy was doing with Chris Cole and Rodney and all these guys. So I wanted to get on Enjoy, and they said no. And then I thought my video went to DECA, went right into people that it could go places with, and it never did. It just ended up in a pile in the cafeteria room. And at the time, Dwindle was moving to a different location, and Daewon and those guys were skating in the back doing the DECA video. And Daewon was getting a drink, I guess, and there was some guy that was helping move all the warehouse stuff around, and he was eating, but he just he was eating, and he chose one of the videos that was on the thing, and I guess put it in. And he chose the video that I gave him, was put it in, and Daewon came in, and they was like, hey, you should check this guy out, and he took the video, and I think that's how that happened.
It was literally because your sponsor me tape was sitting in the cafeteria.
So. Yeah. I mean, I know exactly where it was because I would see them when I would go down there again. I would see piles. I'm like, but I didn't know at the time. I thought it was like
somebody like brought it to you.
I had like this idea of like, oh, they like, yes, this guy is it, but it wasn't like that. It was just like, and like, oh, but this one, it was just fully lucky. So
that's so crazy.
Coincidental. Then Daewon said yes, and then I flew down in like a couple weeks, and then I met Rodney 4 days later, and he said yes. So the only two people that ever really said yes at the beginning was Rodney and Daewon.
And how old were you at that time?
Was that 21? I was turning 21.
And did you get right in there? Like, did you become AM right away, or was it?
Yeah, well, he didn't even say anything. The first day I got there, I filmed some tricks for the Deca video going over the flat gap. I had a Blue Fury T-shirt on. There was a ledge in the middle. They raised up with and it's in the Deca video. That was literally the first day that I got there, and then I left 4 days later, 5 days later, or something. I don't know. Well, 4 days later, Rodney came in and gave me tensors. So then I was like, okay, well, I think tensor is good too. So then I got both of those things and I left. So they didn't really say that I got on. I just like filmed for the video, and then we kind of talked about it later, and that's when we're like, okay, well, this is happening. So
Deca comes out. When did you? Then there was a Artifact in between there, right?
Yeah, Artifact was in between. Yeah.
And then Almost begins.
Yeah.
But your real like breakout in skateboarding was round 3.
Round three. Well, round 3 was like a second. Well, round 3, because I went like Deca, I was like the shaved head guy, and I went to I did a weird digital video where there's like 3 different versions of me that Weez put together. That was kind of crazy with all the chicks and stuff. That wasn't my idea. There was Artifact that was kind of coming into my own, and then the Deca video. All those times I didn't have anything for a company to be like to grab onto for marketing. Right? I was just like some random like shaved head like.
You were clay at that point.
I was like no idea what was going on. Yeah. So, but by the time I hit the Almost thing, they had like a kind of had a lane that they could market me in and do that stuff. And so when I had the video come out, it was pretty easy to like, put effort behind marketing and stuff like that. So it was that was the one that did it. Yeah. And I mean, Daewon and Rodney letting me tie my name to them in the videos and stuff, and not wasting my opportunity in terms of the tricks and the stuff that I was putting in my part at that time was pretty, they kind of directed my skating too. It caught me at a good time because I had stuff already, but I was more like jumpy guy, and hanging out with Daewon and Rodney, I kind of turned more so Daewon. I kind of, still did the jump stuff, but felt okay doing like kind of weirdy, the stuff that I'm basically known for now.
Like all the more technical.
Yeah, more skating. Technical. So I had a mixture of both, and I think it was just a good fit, and it was a good balance with Rodney's footage, with Daewon's footage, with, not saying it was as good as theirs, but it helped balance the whole video out to make it what it was, right? So
it made the whole video interesting.
Yeah.
2004, the video comes out. You turn pro in 2005.
I think I was around there, 2004, end of 2004, maybe 2005, something like that. I can't remember.
And next up, I mean, obviously then you're doing touring and stuff like that, but really 2006 is when everything got crazy because you and Daewon did Cheese and Crackers.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? What was the concept behind it? Was it a planned thing? Did you guys know that it was going to be as crazy as it turned out?
No, we were skating a lot. I'd be coming up and down all the time from Vancouver to LA. I'd be down there more so these days. And we were skating a lot. Wilson Park down in Torrance had a little tiny mini ramp, so we'd skate that all the time. And then at the time it was, I remember Chichikov, the Volcom video came out, and Raleigh had that. We were watching that section of mini ramp stuff that he was making there. And I don't know, we're just like, oh, dude, we got that. We could do that. And so we pitched the idea to Dwindle, and they were like, sure, we'll pay for we'll pay for the ramp, and we'll do whatever it takes to make the ramp, make the warehouse. We'll pay for whatever. And they're like, all right, then you guys can, do whatever. So we were just making like a video, not necessarily wanting to sell it. I don't think we were going to put our names on it really. We're just going to make it. And Dwindle was like, we have to make it sellable. We have to sell it because we need to make our money back of what we put in. We want to make our money back of what we put in. And so we were like, all right, so our names are going to be all over it. And so that changed our whole thing. Like, okay, shit. Now it's like a thing. So they're like, we'll just make our money back and you guys, whatever, can just keep the rest of it, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, whatever we make off it, you guys can keep. And we were like, all right, fuck it. We made it. And no plan. We just didn't plan. We didn't advertise very much. We just made it where everyone was like, the 15 minutes on a single mini ramp is like a little excessive maybe. But we did it and it went nuts and they kept all the money.
Did you guys have fun in that process? Like once you found out that it was going to be sold and was that when you guys were like, oh, we've got to really like juice this and do all the synchronized stuff?
Like in the video?
Yeah. Or was that the plan the whole time?
No, we would do that all the time anyway. We didn't give a shit. No one was telling us what to do.
Yeah.
Like we were doing, like I built a bunch of that shit. Daewon built a bunch of it. No one was in there. It was just me and Daewon. Like we'd sit in there and lay on the flat bottom and be like, what the hell are we doing today? And just stay there for like 7 hours and then go home. Like we didn't barely skate a street.
How long was the actual process of filming that whole thing?
I can't remember, 6 months maybe.
Oh wow! So you had the ramp
like
and everything set up for 6 months, and that's what you guys did all the time.
Yeah, I didn't skate street at all most of that year. I mean, it could be longer than 6 months, but I'm assuming just because of the lease of the building, they probably do either 6 or a year. I can't remember, and I'm just gonna say 6, but it could have been a year. But yeah, we just they gave us $2,000 and said thanks. And then they tried to milk it where they were like, we're going to do a whole contest series. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And they were like, whoa, chill. Like, what happened to like, you guys have your thing? And, they just took it and like tried to.
Ran with it?
Yeah. And then me and Daewon were like, oh my God. But it was, it set me up for being able to stand by myself in the skate industry. I mean, I was always tied to Daewon. And I'm always going to be tied to Daewon just because of that. And any mini ramp video that ever gets made wasn't the plan, but will probably get tied to that video, which is, something that is pretty insane to be able to say, right? I mean, it was a good time. It helped me feel okay with that. I mean, it would be nice to have however much money it made, but it was okay because it was a stepping stone in my own career to be able to do it for the next 25 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the 20th anniversary of Cheese Crackers in 2026, which is pretty unbelievable that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
And you've had a crazy 20 years since then. That video comes out. When did the sort of traveling nomad portion of your life begin? And then how long did that last? Because you kind of...
It was a bit after that. I mean, I did a lot. I mean, there were obviously... Not that it's a competition, but there's a lot of guys that are like still doing it and have done like way crazier things than I have. But it's probably a little bit after that because then I started going to like, Barcelona and like, Germany and like all these places because I got used to being. I needed different spots. Like the spots helped me dictate what tricks I was gonna do. Right. I mean, there were some times where I'm like, I wanted to do this specific trick and I need a spot, but most of the time I would it's constant like refresh of like different obstacles and stuff to maybe bring ideas to my head. Because I mean, I was never a ledge skater guy, so any ledge tricks was just like, I tried to help, the spots had to help me utilize my ledge skills so I don't have to do crazy hard tricks, but I can do like maybe different combinations of the ones I already know how to make it look different. So I kind of basically did that the whole time.
Do you know how many countries you've been to?
Don't know, 30, something like that, somewhere 30 something.
Have you done all the continents or not Antarctica?
I didn't do Antarctica. I was going to, but I didn't. Didn't do it.
Maybe on the agenda at some point.
I know. I mean, if I was going to, it'd probably be the Red Bull or something. But
Yeah.
I think I'm like supporting cast for like the C team at this point for them. So
That's all right. That's my last one. So we'll just plan a little cruise thing and go and touch it, so we could be like, check.
yeah.
So then from there, you had tons of different video parts and contest things. I mean, you did all this stuff with the barracks, like the 2-Up, won some of those. You had a bunch of globe parts. Then everything ended with Almost, and the Indy part came after that, right? Because that was sort of the launch of Brainchild.
Yeah. I had I had some globe. I think I had 1 globe
You had the
part.
United by Fate stuff, right?
Yeah. And then I had, the 5-incher video, and then I did a Transworld Spotlight one, a couple other ones, but and then I left Almost and Globe in 2016, I think, and then I was just hanging around doing whatever. I moved to Barcelona for a couple months, like 9 months or something. I was just filming there. And then I came back and I started Brainchild in, I think it was 2019, 18 or 19, one of those, 2019, I think. And then we just made a video for Thrasher, but it was at Indy and Brainchild. I guess Indy let me do it because Brainchild was nothing at that point.
Was that essentially your last video part that you did?
Yeah, that was the last one.
Do you think you'll do another one, or are you like...
I don't know. I don't see the point. I mean, I'm not in the circle of like having filmers all around me all the time. I don't like travel to skate all the time. I have other things I need to do, and I might. I never say never, but I might. But I don't know. Right now, I don't really care.
You got other stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
You made the transition doing Brainchild. And what was the reasoning for starting Brainchild, and what is Brainchild all about?
I just started because it was one thing I haven't done in skating, right? I mean, I've been fortunate to say I've done a lot of stuff, video game stuff, like CGI movie stuff with some Tony Hawk things. I got, magazine, all the accessory stuff with your name on it, all that. And so, like, the only thing I didn't do is my own brand, because I like drawing, and I always wanted to draw a lot of the Almost boards. But I mean, from the outside, it might not have looked like there was any direction, but they always had a thing they wanted to keep consistent, I guess. And so I only got a couple done, and then I was like, screw it, I'll just do my own. And then so I just started it, and then strange business partners at the start, which caused me some drama, and then it took me like a year to get away from that. And then I was like, screw it, I don't want it to be just a run-of-the-mill kind of company where you just sponsor people and like make money and make videos and sponsor more people. And so instead I just let it do nothing. No, well, I just did it. I was like, screw it. Because at the time, Ben Raymer's thing happened, and that kind of wobbled me for a bit, because that's the closest person that's ever done that to me. So I kind of switched it to like, maybe all these people, like maybe all my, I don't know, colleagues or whatever, skateboarding companions that need life assistance or something. So I was like, what, maybe I could do something like that. But so I started like focusing maybe on a little bit of mental health stuff, like donating some of the money, like the peanuts that I made to, Ben Raymer's foundation, or even Henry's stuff or stuff like that. And then, I quickly realized that I'm underqualified to deal with mental health issues. So I just kind of let it marinate, and I just did my drawings and made my board size so that I had boards to skate and sold them. And sometimes I would donate here and there when I got money, but otherwise it was just a art outlet.
But it sort of became this segue into this newer step in your overall life and career, because now you're working with a friend who's like he's a leading, what would you say his title is? He's like the leading specialist on fentanyl.
Well, he runs the complex pain and addiction services department at Vancouver General Hospital, and he's a fentanyl opioid specialist there. He does a lot with the fentanyl research and clinical fentanyl stuff in Vancouver. Seeing how we have some of the craziest fentanyl stuff going on there. But he also skates. And so he was obviously in his own realm, and he was because primary prevention to addiction, how do we stop kids from people getting into addiction, was an area of his research that he hadn't done yet. And so he was kind of creating this idea of like, how do we do that? He wanted to be able to do it more at a subculture level using social media and like social influence and in skating, because that's what he knows, and he knows the power that skateboarding and the skateboarding community has. So then, but he didn't have a reputable name in the industry, so kids probably wouldn't listen to what he was saying. He needed the figurehead of like a person in that position of influence in the community of skating to potentially deliver a message, because people are familiar with seeing me and some other guys as they were growing up, as like through the years, right, watching us on TV and stuff. But so he saw that I was fumbling at my attempt at my company, and which was more mental health side, but I was in Vancouver as well, and so was he, and so we kind of connected, and we thought about doing a whole thing about mental health and opioids and just primary and secondary prevention to addiction. My side again was more like my interest lied more with the mental health stuff, and obviously, they're very closely related in terms of mental health and dealing with your mental health, and potentially being vulnerable to opioids and stuff. So, and then we thought about the personality traits of people that do these kind of extreme sports lend themselves to potential addictive behaviors, either during or after, or look how much time we got, and we get hurt doing what we love to do, and we can't ever do it again. How do we match that thrill? You know what I mean? So that was the idea, and I don't know, we created something, and we're creating it. We haven't launched it yet, so hopefully it'll be able to affect at least one person.
And you're always been a sober guy, right?
I have, yeah. And that's I have it, like when he brought it to me the first time to do this, that was my concern. I'm like, who the hell's gonna listen to like I don't have any lived experience. Like, how are they gonna be relatable to me? I can't be relatable to them. The only thing I can relate to them is like kickflips and stuff. Like, I'm outside of that stuff, I'm not relatable to a guy that may be recovering or some kid that is doing stuff.
I think though there's so much to that connectivity between skateboarding and addiction. I'm going to be 16 years sober next month. I think there's just something sort of pleasure seeking that you get from doing a kickflip or a 360 flip outweighs the pain of smashing your shins. And that, I think, is very tied to addiction in general. Is like, I think there's just a very, very much like a pleasure seeking aspect to it all.
It is pleasure seeking, thrill seeking. Yeah, and the thrill seeking of skateboarding is often encouraged, because you'll get covers of magazines and stuff, and the crazy you are, the more praise that you're going to get. So when those type of guys are like, they don't have that sort of, like, they get old or whatever, they get hurt and they can't get that same thing anymore. If they're not in the right realm of state of mind or whatever, they're at high risk of like potentially doing or even doing stuff to make sure they can still do that can also lead them down that stuff. So I don't know. I think I've come to learn that my role is to show an alternate way of going through, like maybe potential skate lifestyle as a non-drinker or partier or any of that stuff. Like there's this avenue. I mean, we're not fear mongering. We're not going to be like, don't do those drugs. I mean, they're not going to listen to us anyway. You can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, but here's an alternate way of living in this community world that we're in, you know what I mean?
And what is it called? And do you have any idea when people are going to be able to see what you guys have been working on?
We call it the Natural Stance, and it's we're trying to brand it like a company, like a skate company, you know, like with merch and stuff. And I think we're launching in this year, so like the next couple of months, depending on when this comes out, but we should be trickling into the social media realm this coming months.
I saw an animation for it yesterday, and it is
ridiculous,
insane and hilarious, and I think it was completely different than what I had expected, because we've talked about this plenty of times, but when I saw it, I mean, obviously I laughed a ton, but I was just like, oh man, this is definitely going to get some attention in a ridiculous, fun way. And I mean, I think that's what we need. You know, it's like that movie Seven, where it's like you can't just tap people on the shoulder anymore. You have to hit them over the head with a sledgehammer. I know, but it's true. It's like, especially with social media, it's like, you know, the things that get attention are either really funny or they're really outlandish or they're a little crazy, you know?
Yeah, the animation's a little obnoxious, but I mean, I write them all. I write them all with the doctor's storyline. He gives me like a little base idea of kind of what he feels should be in the episode, and then I write it from like a 2-minute thing into like a 30-second thing. So, you know, there's like probably going to be dick jokes in there and stuff, but it's all language. It's all language, but you know, it's all the relatable language. I mean, it might be a little like obnoxious, but
maybe inappropriate. I don't think it's necessarily obnoxious. I think it's just like it positions what's actually happening in a way that might be more digestible for somebody who's younger, that goes, whoa, that was not what I expected, versus your standard issue, like kind of like don't do
like,
it.
This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
Type, yeah.
I think it's different, it's unique, and it's like a fresh perspective on it all, which I'm excited to see how it all continues to lay out over time.
Yeah, slow. I mean, it's obviously a animation thing. It's like, you know, you have to gradually develop the character first, and then you get into the messaging. So don't judge the first one by the messaging.
Hopefully, though, it entices people to follow along on the journey, and then
the hook, dude.
Yeah, they can just enjoy it.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for somebody out there that wants to come up in skateboarding? I think there's obviously so many people globally who have this dream of becoming a pro skateboarder, and you had such an interesting journey through being in Canada and then Singapore and then back to Canada, and then now Luck, just a videotape that was on the counter in the cafeteria. What advice do you have for someone out there who's like, this is my dream, this is my goal, this is what I want to do?
Well, it's just focus and persistence, but don't be afraid to let your personality show in your skating, because it's always been about if you're different in your skating. I mean, you know, whatever. Nowadays it's so big that you can do whatever you want. Like if your whole thing is curbs, there's whole companies based on curb skating. So just don't be afraid to let your personality show in your skating, because that in the end will drive you and make you feel better, because you're not, you know, skating for someone else. So just personality, persistence, and that kind of thing. I think.
So authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah. And then those guys that are smart, like, I have a big, like my pet peeve is when it's wasted talent or wasted opportunity. Like, don't waste your opportunity. If you have something that you like doing, like, don't waste it. And that doesn't mean like, I'm not saying like go out and party, like, or like just don't burn any bridges. Obviously be smart about your choices, but don't like, this 1 year thing that you think could happen, just a phase, could last 25 years as well. You know what I mean? If you make rational decisions and like, you know, these things that could affect your life better, it could take you for 2 decades.
And quite a ride around the globe.
Yeah, I mean, it's different now, obviously, than when I was my sponsor me tape days, you know, so I don't know what it would take now, but that's what I think, just in terms of like for your own personal experience in your life, is like if you can maximize what skating can allow you to do, travel the world and, you know, meet all these different people, then, you know, if all it takes is not to be a dickhead, then don't be a dickhead, because it changed your life.
What about if you could go back to Canada, when you're about to, you know, start getting all the sponsors and stuff, what advice would you give your younger self in this journey of life?
I think me personally, I think I would have been more conscious of, you know, when you start getting into, you get sucked into the end, like not sucked in, but you get when you start moving with the industry and your sponsors and stuff, and you feel like that's what defines you. You know, there's like a sense of like not invincibility, but like you're living in an unrealistic, not normal bubble. Real life is still happening around you, and I think for me it would have been because I have real fight or flight. Like, I have one foot out the door all the time. So when there's something like skating that was able to give me actually skating didn't do it. Skating is just a thing that I love to do, and I allowed myself to do that because skating was so awesome, and I had the opportunity to fully embrace it and go all in on it. But I allowed myself to let skating mask a lot of the stuff that I didn't deal with in terms of like, you know, mental health stuff that I had, that I was just trying to get away from, and until I couldn't get away from it anymore, and that was, you know, 30 years later. So I think I would have been more conscious of like the reality of my life, and not just think of skating as the only thing that's ever existed in my life. You know what I mean? So I think I would just do that. Just be better to myself in terms of my mental state, and not try to deal with the things that I needed to deal with at the time, which obviously could be taxes, it could not be, it could be trauma from relationships, any of that stuff, right? Like, you know, a lot of people nowadays don't pay taxes, which is ridiculous, but, you know, they're so consumed in the world that they don't think about it. You have to think about it. So I think I would have just thought about it a little more. Not that I did anything weird or bad or anything like that, but just in terms of like understanding myself better, instead of just brushing it under the rug and having skating be like the best. I mean, it is the best thing of all time, but you know what I mean? Like putting skating before myself.
Dealing with it more in the moment.
Yeah, you can
I'll get to you later.
Yeah, you can do both. Let's just say you can do both of that at the same time. You can't. I just let skating be the one. I should have done the whole journey with both, an understanding of myself, and allowing skating to take me wherever it took me. So
amazing. Thanks. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated, gang. Let me know who you want to have on the podcast next. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.